I never imagined I'd end up as the main character in one of those wild homeowners association horror stories you scroll past online. Yet here I am, still trying to process everything that unfolded over the last 3 months in what used to feel like a peaceful suburban neighborhood. It all began with a letter taped to my front door one Monday morning in April. As I stepped out to grab the newspaper, I noticed an official-looking envelope stuck to the door. Curious, I opened it. HOA violation? That didn't make sense. I hadn't changed anything on my property in months. The notice, printed on the Whispering Pines HOA letterhead, claimed that the red maple tree in my backyard violated updated neighborhood aesthetic guidelines and had to be removed within 14 days. It was signed by none other than Karen Whitfield, the HOA president. This struck me as odd. I had planted that tree 5 years ago, shortly after moving in. It had never been an issue before. Wanting to clear up what I assumed was a simple misunderstanding, I decided to attend the HOA meeting scheduled for that very evening. As an environmental consultant, I understand regulations and the importance of maintaining community standards. I figured I could resolve the matter quickly with a rational conversation. I couldn't have been more wrong. The meeting took place at the neighborhood clubhouse, a drab room lit by flickering fluorescent lights. About 20 homeowners were scattered across rows of metal folding chairs. At the front, behind a plastic-covered table bearing our neighborhood's logo, sat the HOA board. And at the center, presiding like royalty, was Karen Whitfield. Karen, in her late 40s, wore a perfectly pressed blazer and an immaculately styled blonde bob that didn't move no matter how she turned her head. I'd only interacted with her in passing before, polite nods and stiff waves, but her reputation was well known. Karen ran the HOA with an iron grip. She began the meeting. "Welcome to the April meeting of the Whispering Pines Homeowners Association. We've got a full agenda tonight. Any homeowner matters before we begin?" I raised my hand. Karen spotted me with a barely concealed frown as if she already knew what I was going to say, and didn't like it. "Yes, Mr. Thompson, is it? Please keep it brief." I stood up and explained my confusion over the violation notice. I mentioned that the tree had been there for years, was a native species, and contributed positively to the local environment. Karen's polite expression stiffened. "The Architectural Review Committee recently updated our landscaping guidelines. Your tree exceeds the maximum height allowance by about 3 feet and is not on the approved species list. The rules apply to everyone, regardless of when the issue began." Her emphasis on everyone made it clear this was personal. I suggested trimming the tree instead of removing it entirely. Karen's lips tightened. "The decision has been made, Mr. Thompson. You have 14 days to comply or face daily fines. Next item." Just like that, I was dismissed. A few neighbors gave me sympathetic looks, but no one spoke up. It was obvious that opposing Karen wasn't something done lightly in Whispering Pines. Back home, I read through the HOA bylaws and found something interesting. Removal of established trees also required approval from the Architectural Review Committee. So I submitted a formal request, citing the tree's age, species, and ecological value. 3 days later, I received an email. My request to remove the tree had been approved by none other than Karen Whitfield herself, who, it turned out, also chaired the Architectural Review Committee. Karen wore many hats. Too many. But she didn't know I had one more move. During a recent environmental survey, I'd become familiar with protected species in our region. I decided to take a closer look at my maple tree and discovered something remarkable. A pair of northern long-eared bats, a federally protected species, had made their roost in it. This was huge. Disturbing their habitat during breeding season, which we were right in the middle of, is a direct violation of the Endangered Species Act. I documented the bats with photos and video, then contacted the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They confirmed that the tree could not legally be removed until at least August. Armed with this, I sent a respectful email to the HOA board, attaching the documentation and official federal guidelines. I assumed that would be the end of it. After all, federal law outranks HOA rules. Karen replied within the hour. While we appreciate your environmental concerns, HOA guidelines must be enforced uniformly. The compliance deadline stands. I was floored. Did she really believe that an HOA could override federal law? That night, I called her directly. "Mr. Thompson," she began icily, "I've been managing this HOA for 7 years. You wouldn't believe how many people try to avoid violations with creative excuses. The tree violates our rules. End of discussion." I explained this wasn't an excuse. It was a legal protection. "Then have the bats professionally relocated. The tree comes down, or you'll be fined $100 per day. And just so you know, our bylaws allow us to place a lien on your property for unpaid fines." Clearly, Karen had no intention of backing down. So I sent one final email, this time directly to her. I attached legal documentation, referenced the Endangered Species Act, and warned that any removal would carry serious consequences. Then came day 14. Before heading to work, I set up a security camera facing my backyard. I didn't think Karen would actually go through with it. No rational person would risk a federal offense over a landscaping rule. I was wrong. Around 10 a.m., I got a motion alert from the camera. I opened the feed and stared in disbelief as a tree removal crew entered my backyard, with Karen Whitfield leading them, pointing at my maple tree like some sort of general. I called the police and the Fish and Wildlife Service, then rushed home. By the time I arrived, the tree was already down. Branches were being fed into a chipper. Karen stood nearby, arms crossed, smiling. "Problem solved, Mr. Thompson. The HOA took care of it. The cost will be added to your account." I was speechless. I told her federal officers were on the way. For the first time, her confidence wavered. "You're bluffing. This is HOA jurisdiction." Minutes later, a police cruiser and a Fish and Wildlife Service vehicle pulled up. Karen's smile faded. The officers inspected the felled tree, reviewed my documentation, and confirmed the presence of the protected bats. Karen tried to protest. "I'm the HOA president. I have authority." The wildlife officer didn't flinch. "Ma'am, you've potentially violated the Endangered Species Act by destroying a known roosting site. I need to see your ID." Karen turned white. "It's just a tree in a suburban yard." The fine for knowingly destroying protected habitat can be $25,000, and there may be criminal charges. As he wrote the citation, Karen visibly crumbled.